You need to encourage others with your failures. I think that leadership makes a huge mistake when they pretend that they're perfect, when they act as if every decision they made was the right decision.
Hi, I'm Chris Cody. I don't know about you, but I know that I love to absorb content. There's so much free content out there. However, one challenge that I do have is that I often struggle to then take that content and put it into practice. I don't change the habits that I need to based off of the video that I've been inspired by. If that's you, I want you to watch this video, and then I would love for you to comment, and we would love to hear your thoughts below.
You and I don't develop as leaders quickly. We don't do it after one lecture like this, or we don't do it after we've read one book or gone to one leadership seminar. It's more than an event. It's a process. And if we want to be really committed to develop our leadership skills and raise that lid, again, what we really want to do is we want to be committed to consistency in intentionally developing ourselves as leaders. That's been my commitment, and that's my commitment to you to help you to really understand this entire process, because it doesn't happen quickly. So when people come and they hear me speak maybe, and they pick up 3 or 4 of my books and they walk out of the conference, and it's kind of like, I am a leader. Well, no, you're just a person that has some leadership books. It's going to take some time, and it's okay. Shortcuts don't pay off in the long run. And when you and I have the big picture, and when we see more than others see, and when we see before others see, and that's a common characteristic of leaders, then we'll understand and be willing to go through this process. You see, the question is now not how fast can I become a leader, but it's really how far can I go, and that farness is all about consistency and process. And I say that because what I'm about to teach you about personal growth is a continual journey. It's not, again, the points that I'm going to give you, and you write them down, you think about them, and boom, you just grow personally. Too many times we want magic, and what we really need to do is just be committed to the process. And Coach Wooden would look at his ball players and he would say, don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you're going to do. A level 2 permission relationship leader watches the actions of the people, and it's their actions that determines how he or she leads them, not their words. I lead my people based upon what they do, not based upon what they say. There's one other quality of a permission leader that I need to share with you quickly. Is they not only listen well and they not only observe well, but the third thing they do is they serve well. And this is a major difference between levels 2 and 1. If I'm a level 1 position leader, I don't serve at all. You serve me. I'm over you. You take care of me. That position totally turns around at level 2. At level 2, I serve you. I add value to you. I do everything in my power to lift up you. It's the spirit, the attitude that takes a person and gives them what I call serving actions. In my organizations, people will tell me sometimes, because the Maxwell Enterprise has many companies, people will come up to me that I don't even know, and they'll say, I just got hired by one of your companies. And, well, good, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And then they'll say something like, I work for you. And I stop and I say, no. You don't work for me. I don't have slaves. You work with me. In fact, I work with you. I'll serve you. You serve me. Let's serve each other. We're not position conscious at all. We just want to add value to each other. A permission level leader that is strong in relations, they listen well, observe well, and they serve well. You need to encourage others with your failures. I think that leadership makes a huge mistake when they pretend that they're perfect, when they act as if every decision they made was the right decision. I learned that as a very young leader. I was very successful in my 20s, and I started literally holding success conventions by the time I was 27, 28, 29, and started attracting thousands of people. And I put on a convention, and I asked, it was a 2-day convention, and I had 4 speakers, including me, and each speaker had a half a day to help people become successful. And the first day, both of the speakers talked about their success, and they were very successful. And there was some of it was very encouraging, but by the end of the first day, I could see that the attendees were getting a little discouraged because all they heard was success, success, success. The next morning, the third speaker did the same thing, talked about all of his successes. And by noon, I realized I had a problem. There was no one admitting failure. There was no one talking about when they fell, how they got back up, how they handled that adversity. They all acted like you just make the right decisions and you just easily become successful. So I skipped lunch that day, and I pulled aside and got my legal pad out, and I said, I've got to change my teaching. And that afternoon I did. I did a lesson called Flops, Failures, and Fumbles. And I shared with them all the flops, the failures, and fumbles I'd had in business. It had an amazing impact on people because I looked at them and said, isn't it amazing all those misses and mess-ups I've had? And I'm already very highly successful. And it put wind in their sails, and it just gave them a sense of encouragement because, you see, the first 3, they presented success in such a way that the people basically said, I could never get there. That's just better than I could be and bigger than I could ever become. But then I took success and I humanized it. And I helped them understand that, yes, you want to be successful, but if you're going to be successful, it's how you handle failures. If I had a genie wish, where a genie could come out of a bottle and that genie could give me any wish that I could have, I know what my genie wish would be. I wish you could have seen me 50 years ago when I started off as a leader. The problem now, people see me today. I've written over 100 books. I've now written more leadership material than any person has ever lived in the history of the world. I'm known as the #1 leadership expert in the world, and they see all my success, success, success. If you could have seen me 50 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a lot of success. You would have seen a lot of misses and losses, a lot of mess-ups. In fact, if you could have seen me 50 years ago, trust me, you would be greatly encouraged. You wouldn't have heard somebody that can communicate on the level I can now. You had heard a person that didn't speak very well at all. You wouldn't have seen a person that would pull out another book and say, here's the answer for that leadership question. You would be talking to a person that had never written a book. I talk about the 3 R's, and I again help people line this up. This is just material that, as I've grown and developed, I personally created. But you got to line yourself up with the 3 R's. What's required of me, what gives me the greatest return, and what gives me my greatest reward. Wow. Now, when you can line those 3 R's up like you kind of line the stars up, you have to understand you're going to get a huge return. When what you have to do, requirement, is what you're good at, return, and it's what you love, reward, you can't be stopped. Don't miss that. You can't be stopped.
If you have the privilege of leading a team or an organization, and you would love help with enhancing your leadership culture, maybe even developing some of your high potential leaders, just follow the link on the screen, and we would love to connect with you.
And one of the questions that I ask them is very simple. How has failure shaped your life? Now, I've asked that question for 40 years every month to people bigger, better, faster, smarter than me. 100% of the time, when I ask them how failure has shaped their life, 100% of the time, regardless of the business, regardless of the experience, regardless of the age, 100% of the time, those highly successful people have said to me, I give failure the credit for helping me become successful. In other words, success in my life would not be possible if I wouldn't have had my failures. My wonderful friend Jamie Curran-Lima, who just sold her cosmetic company for $1.3 billion, said to me, the way this works, John, is setbacks can become setups. She's right. She's right when we are expecting a positive return on failure. Sarah Blakely, well, this was interesting. She said, all my life I was taught how to deal with failure. I said, Sarah, how does that happen? She said, well, when I was going to school as kids, we would come home from school, and at the dinner table, my father every night asked us a very simple question. How did you fail today? And we would talk to him about a failure, a miss that we had. And we'd sit around that table conversation, and we as children got comfortable with failure, knowing that it would happen often, and then my father would teach us how to overcome those failures in our life. So it's so essential to get a good return on your failure. You got to keep success and failure together. Don't separate them ever again. They belong together, they work well together, and they make you the person you really want to become. That's number one. Number two, if you want to get a return on your failure, understand the difference between a good miss and a bad miss. You see, every day we have misses, but some of those misses, they're not hurtful at all. In fact, they're what I would call good misses. And then there are misses that, boy, when you have those, that'll set you back a little bit. So in helping people get a return on failure, I've done some studies on this and just some personal introspection. And let me give you what is the difference between a good miss and a bad miss. Now, there are more that I'm going to give you, but for example, if I have a good miss, it has a tendency to move me forward, whereas if I have a bad miss, I have a tendency to move backwards. You see, a good miss is where I make adjustments, and a bad miss is where I make excuses. Now, this can be the same miss. You see, the miss isn't the issue. How we respond to the miss determines whether it's a good one or a bad one. So when I miss something, I either can make adjustments that will help me to do better, or I can make excuses, which anyone knows that the moment that you make excuses, you're in trouble. Live between the lines. And what I basically say is, on the right, as I walk my journey, on the right is success and on the left is failure. And there's sometimes I'm very successful, so I'm over on the right side of the road, and there's sometimes when I mess up and I'm over there in the failure ditch. And when I'm in the failure ditch and I'm not doing well and I've had a bad day, here's what I know. I'm not as bad as I look right now. I'm better than this, okay? I'm in the ditch, but I want to raise my hand and say, I'm bad, but I'm not that bad, okay? I don't really belong in the ditch, but when I get over on the success side, I want to tell people I'm not as good as they think I am either. And I'm not. I really live between the lines. And I just kind of want to be there because you see, if I just want to live over on the success line, I'll never learn from people because successful people become arrogant and prideful. And if I live in the failure ditch, my self-image will be so low, I'll never believe in myself enough to do it. But just walk between the lines. That's what that chapter is all about. It's just about character. It's all about integrity. It's about being bigger. It's about being better on the inside than you're on the outside. That's what it's about. But the second part of this path towards your purpose journey is 100% accurate, I promise you. You see, you not only ask yourself, what am I passionate about? You need to ask yourself, what am I good at? In other words, what is my natural strength zone? This is an accurate assessment. And the reason it's an accurate assessment of your purpose is because God created you for a purpose. And with that purpose that he created you, He gave you gifts to accomplish that purpose in your life. I love this. So don't miss this, okay? He gave you gifts to accomplish your purpose. In fact, I tell people all the time, work on your strengths. If you really want to be successful, work on your strengths, not on your weaknesses. Now, we were taught in school to work on our weaknesses. I mean, I can think back at all of my school days. If I got an A in math and a C in English, they'd say, well, work more on your English. Well, the reason I got an A in math is I had a math kind of giftedness more than a language giftedness. I say, don't work on your weaknesses, work on your strengths. Now let me explain why. You see, in the area of giftedness, strengths, and abilities, from a 1 to a 10, you can only improve yourself 2, possibly 3 numbers. So let's say I work on a weaknesses. I'm just not very good at something. Let's say I'm a 2. That's not very good out of a 10. So I said, well, I've got to get that. I've got to raise my number. So I work really hard. And let's say I'm really good at raising my weak area. And I go from a 2 to 3 to a 4. Maybe, not sure, but maybe I even get to a 5. Now, guess what I've accomplished? I've accomplished average. 5 out of 10 isn't going to get me anywhere special at all. Average is average. And if you work on your weaknesses at best, when you finish, even if you excel, you're just average, and people don't pay for average.
If you're like me, you watch a video like that from Maxwell Leadership and you just get inspired. I love how it's so practical. It just makes a lot of sense. But here's the challenge. We have to commit to each other. We have to commit to change, both in our personal lives and also our professional lives. Looking for more information about the Maxwell Leadership Certified Team? Follow the link below to learn more. We can't wait to hear from you and add value to your lives.